Yo, how's it going, Reddit? My name is Damage, and I'm here with a new show that I'm calling Damage's Charts. This is my show where I'm going to power rank the teams of NALCS coming into the season. I don't know about you guys, but I'm super hyped. All these great new teams are coming in. All these great new Korean players are coming in. And if you're like me and you're a big fan, you want to think, okay, how's the season going to shake out? Are the old favorites going to top it out, or are we going to see some new teams rise to the top? So I thought I would talk to you in a more ad hoc kind of unscripted format. So excuse me if this show kind of rambles on and doesn't really have much direction. It's because I'm doing this on the fly with one take, giving you my thoughts as I see these rosters. So to start off the discussion, we have to talk about two teams that have still not completed their rosters. It's still up in the air. We don't know exactly where they're going to be and who they're going to get. And these two teams are EchoFox and the Milwaukee Bucks squad that purchased the Cloud9 Challenger squad of Balls, High, Lemonation, and Alltech, with contracts actually going over to Cloud9. So to start the discussion off, I don't really want to give these teams a ranking because it isn't fair to give them a ranking without knowing their full rosters. But we can still kind of guess where they're going to be. EchoFox especially is definitely a worrying team if you're an EchoFox fan. With Looper and Froggen taking up the two import slots, we've got Keith locked up as ADC and a mystery jungler and a mystery support. Now, I don't know about you, but I truly, personally believe that the jungle and support positions in the challenger scene are a little bit lacking. I mean, there's not that much talent floating around. I mean, you had Dardoch come out of the scene. You had Inori come out of the scene. Contracts is coming out of the scene. Now, beyond those names, I mean, maybe there's Omar God, but he's locked up in CLG. I can't think of any more off the top of my head. Maybe you guys know better, so you can comment below if you think there's going to be some good pickups. I personally don't see them. The same issue kind of exists with Cloud9 Challenger. Assuming you keep Balls, assuming you keep High, Lemonation, and Alltech, that's a decent squad, believe it or not. But the jungler's position is still kind of up in the air, so it wouldn't be fair to rank these teams, at least not right now. So we're going to put them to the side for now and just come back to them when the rosters get filled out. So moving on, I want to start from the bottom to the top because I think that's the easiest way to do it, and you can definitely feel free to skip ahead to a later section if you don't want to talk about the bottom teams. But for me, it's kind of more interesting to start from the bottom and work my way up. So to start off, the number 8 team, I guess, if you don't count EchoFox and the Bucks, would be my personal choice of EnVyUS. Now, a lot of people might be surprised to see EnVyUS sink this low, but I'm not. If you saw how EnVyUS played last season, they were one of the absolute worst early game teams in the league. They had one of the worst first blood percentages, terrible stats across the jungle position. Top lane was decent, but kind of fell off. Seraph kind of fell off near the end of the split. Ninja was always kind of middle tier. Laud was actually one of the bright spots of the team, which is actually why I put EnVyUS near the bottom, because picking up Apollo wasn't really any sort of upgrade. In fact, honestly, might even be a slight downgrade if you compare the two stats between the players. And while Lyra was a decent player for a Freak of Freaks, he had a good amount of first blood percentage there, and that's definitely going to help EnVyUS. The rest of the team, in my mind, just still doesn't have that level of talent to compete, honestly, because if you look at the rest of these rosters as we go up the list, you're going to see name after name of players and individuals who just outclassed them across every position. EnVyUS actually finished 6th last split, which was a surprise to most, actually gaining their spot over Apex. I don't know if you guys remember, Apex actually had a better regular season record, but failed to qualify because their head-to-head against EnVyUS was in favor of Envy. So as far as I'm concerned, Envy doesn't move any lower, really, than they were before. You know, they were still fighting for that 6th, 7th, 8th position, but I mean, some of the other teams have definitely moved above them in their rankings, so that's why I put them near the bottom. To move forward, I want to talk about Phoenix One. Now, Phoenix One is definitely one of those teams that a lot of people are underrating. me included, I think, and definitely could have a chance to make some kind of wave in the NALCS. But there's still some questions about synergy. Inori was a bright spot of the team for sure. They replaced their entire bottom lane. They replaced their mid laner. Zig's the only one that's left over from the old team. Now, Zig, I'm a big fan of, actually. I think Zig is very much amongst the top laners, the best top laners. But that might change because of these newer imports that come along. I mean, I don't really know where to put Zig. To me, he's one of the better NA players in the league, but I mean, it's not exactly clear whether I would put him above Lorlo, for example, or if I would put him above Darshan. You know what I mean? He kind of falls in that range. Inori is a talent for sure. Ryu, we've always seen as kind of this above average to near the top mid laner in Europe. While in NA, though, it might kind of be more middle tier, to be honest, because if you look at some of the names on the list, Bjergsen, Jensen, Pobelter, I'd say he falls right a little bit below that range, maybe tied with Pobelter, which I would put as what, 5th, 6th best, 4th? I don't know. My math is terrible. When you count Froggen in there as well, I would say he's probably 5th or 6th best mid. Arrow is a great pickup for the team, but it remains to be seen how these guys are going to mesh together. Adrian's always been more of a passive player, I want to say. Some people will jump into the comments and tell me, oh, Adrian's been known to play these engaged supports in 2015. Well, 2015 was 2 years ago. We haven't seen Adrian pick up more supports since then. His Bard has been weak. His other supports, honestly, besides Soraka, have been below average, to say the least. And we actually found out that recently Immortals needed him to pick up a couple more a couple more players. A couple more champions, I should say. And I think Adrian is okay mechanically, up to near good mechanically, but just for some reason decides he doesn't want to pick up these other champions, and that's definitely going to hold the team back as a whole. So when I rank Phoenix 1, I put them 7th for now. That could change for sure, but I don't see this team being more than middle pack at the end of the day. And moving on to the next topic of another middle of the pack team, I don't know if you guys guessed it, it's Liquid. Now, Liquid absolutely downgraded, absolutely in the middle lane with Golden Glue. Phoenix was near the top statistically in NA, despite the constant criticism Phoenix got. Phoenix was beyond talented for the squad. Piglet and Matt, we've seen them play well. Their performance at IEM was a bit of a struggle. Don't really know what was happening there. But I think it might be too early to tell with these guys. Lorlo I actually like, and I mentioned earlier, as one of the better NA top laners in the region. I think his skills are underrated. I think he absolutely has the talent and potential to succeed. The question is, will he develop the type of synergy that he needs with Reignover to be near the top of the league? Because when you look at the top of the league players, really, in my mind, it's those teams that have that top jungle synergy that always come out on top. I'm talking about Hanser with Svenskeren. I'm talking about Darshan and Nick Smithy. I'm talking about, well, I mean, at this point, all the leagues have changed, so all these synergies don't exist anymore. But, I mean, these were great synergies that led these teams to the top. We had Huni and Reignover dominating with Immortals. We had, well, Impact and Meteos, that was kind of a unique situation. They're the one counterexample, so I'll give you that. But beyond that, I don't necessarily see the synergy between those players yet. I think Lorlo has always been a selfless type of player and not really a carry, so I'm kind of struggling to see who's going to lead Liquid to a successful game. Maybe it's Piglet, but I just don't see it yet. You know, he hasn't really shown that type of carry performance for a long time. So as far as his ranking goes, to review, it's EnVyUS, Phoenix, Liquid. Right above them, I actually put down Immortals. Now, a lot of people will tell me, wait a minute, why are you ranking Immortals so high when you just said they're a brand new team and you shouldn't really rank those things yet? And I'm telling you, from what I saw at IEM alone, this team looks way better than they were. at least way better than those other middle of pack teams. Maybe not as good as last season, but definitely above the middle pack. Flame looked great. Dardoch, pretty good. Pobelter looked like his usual self. Some questions around the bot lane, including Cody Sun and Ole, played very questionably. But at the same time, I don't necessarily believe NA bot lanes are the most challenging things to play against in the world. I mean, the best one in the league right now is probably CLGs with Stixxay and Aphromoo, and they're pretty formidable. But beyond that, I mean, you've got Sneaky Smoothie, Wild Turtle, Biofrost. That's a new bot lane. Piglet and Matt maybe were the most mechanically skilled and definitely near the top statistically, I should say, not mechanically. But it's still some questions about the nature of the talent pool in NA bot lane. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not really worried about that bot lane duo. So let's see. You've got Flame, Dardoch, right? As long as their synergy can work out, those two players I consider near the top of the mechanical talent pool in the top jungle synergy area. Now, what's going to hold this team back and why I put them so low is that bot lane at the end of the day. There's not really a kind of carry performance from these type of players. We saw Cody play Ashe all weekend because honestly they were too scared to put him on anything beyond a utility carry. He played a little bit of Jhin as well, but his Jhin was very questionable. In order for Immortals to succeed, I'm going to need to see more Flame, honestly, and more Dardoch. I'm going to need to see the two of them on a more carry-oriented champion. I don't really think Rek'Sai is the type of champion that Dardoch succeeds on. I'd like to see him play a Rengar once in a while. I'd like to see him play something more aggressive that really lets his talent pool show, because the truth is we haven't really seen many carry performances out of Pobelter over the season, and we know that Flame can carry. So as long as you give him the tools, I think Immortals will be better than what I put them as. But until they decide to change up their way they're playing, that's not going to happen. Now, moving up the list, we've got your final four. And some of you might be surprised to hear these names amongst the final four, but my final four goes something like this: CLG, Dignitas, Cloud9, TSM. Now, some of you will instantly jump to the comments and say, "Oh, TSM, forget about that. Wild Turtle, Biofrost, that's not a big. That's gonna suck as a bot lane." And you might be right, but let's start with CLG first, and we'll explain why we put these rankings the way we did. Now, CLG, they've always been consistently underrated, and so for the first time ever, I'm gonna be one of the commentators that overrates them. I think CLG is very good this season. I think Darshan and Xmithie have the absolute potential to be one of the best top jungle duos in the league, and they have been for quite some time. Now, Darshan definitely underperformed the past season, but Xmithie always been on point. Stixxay and Aphromoo near the top performers in their relative positions. Huhi, I think, always has had some questions about his play, but I don't necessarily feel that concerned about him. I think the team that's been together for the longest is the reason why I put them up here. I think they have the synergy, they have the shot calling, they have the macro play, and I think CLG comes out as at least fourth, if not higher. So moving up the list, I actually put the newest addition to the NA rosters in terms of crazy hype. That would be Dignitas. I did put them up here because, and specifically because, as I keep mentioning over and over again, the top jungle synergy. You've got Someday, you've got Chaser. Those are two top players from Korea who absolutely have the makings, in my mind, of a Reignover, Huni type of situation where you've got a carry top laner, a jungler that knows what he's doing, that can put the team on their back and make the plays. And honestly, I struggle to think of an NA duo or any duo in North America that can actually fight against these two. Maybe Hanser and Svenskeren will step it up. Impact and Contracts, but Contracts is a rookie, right? So there's some questions about how he's going to play. Moving on to the rest of the squad, though, they picked up Laud, which was an absolute upgrade over Apollo, as I mentioned earlier. Xpecial, people always question his play, but he's very much been a successful player when you give him the chance to shot call, which I think Dignitas is going to do, especially considering Someday and Chaser don't really speak English. So there's some questions about that. Keen does speak Korean, though, so that problem is necessarily not as big as it would be on a team like EnVyUS, for example, or EchoFox, where Looper kind of is on an island by himself as the sole Korean guy. So I put this team actually third in the league because I see the potential in them. There are some questions about some of the players, which is why I put them not as high as maybe 1 or 2. But I put them below Cloud9 and TSM specifically because Cloud9 and TSM, those teams look beyond ready for this season. I put Cloud9 number 2 and TSM number 1, although this is up to debate again. There's some questions to be seen about how well Turtle will perform with Biofrost, but when you go down the list of TSM, Hanser, Svenskeren, Bjergsen, the 3 of those guys are top performance in every position. Hanser destroyed opponents this season and basically destroyed any question we had about him as a player. His performance at Worlds was below average, but so was the whole team. So as far as putting him against somebody like Someday or Looper, Flame, some people are saying, oh, Hanser's going to get destroyed. In my mind, Hanser has more talent than that. Not talent to beat them necessarily, but at least talent to go even or not lose. I don't really see him being the type of player that's just going to get destroyed by these guys. He's very smart. He's always known when to pull off. He's known his split pushing is beyond excellent in my mind. And that puts him, as well as Impact, on Cloud9 near the top of the top laners anyways. But beyond that, you look at the rest of the squad. Contracts on Cloud9 is going to be a monster. Everybody's seen this guy play in Challenger. He's really, really good. The question is, once again, he is a rookie, so maybe some nerves will come into play. Hopefully, as the season progresses, he gets over those things and the team gels like they should. Jensen, Sneaky Smoothie, always been good players. They made it to the top last season. They were second. I don't think people give them the credit that they deserve for beating Immortals, for example, and really showing that they were actually a good team. Contracts is once again a definite upgrade over Meteos, so this is why I put Cloud9 so high. I think Cloud9 has the talent, honestly, to compete in almost every position, and the macro game and the English-speaking roster, for the most part, that makes a team good. At terms of macro play and in terms of playing around the map. They've also got Reaper, who's once we know is an incredible coach with a lot of genius for the game. So the reason I put Cloud9 and TSM 1 and 2 is because of the mechanical talent across almost every position and because of their macro, cohesion as a unit for having been together for so long. It's the same reason I put CLG 4th near the top, right, as well. Now, there's some debate about whether TSM is going to be the best or not. In my mind, they will be. Wild Turtle is, as some people have pointed out, a downgrade from Doublelift, but Doublelift had some questionable moments in the season, as I'm sure Wild Turtle will as well. But the point is, Wild Turtle is without a doubt mechanically talented and did perform very well on Immortals, a team with arguably about the same level of macro awareness as TSM. So I don't want to put TSM lower because of their swap with Doublelift. I think they're actually going to be very good. I think that their unit, cohesion as a unit, playing around Bjergsen, the best mid in NA by far, is actually going to put them near the top again. So I hope you guys enjoyed this rankings. My name is Damage. This has been my charts. I'm signing out. Peace.